He shoots off his mouth and he's drunk, basically.
Oh, great. That's his version, is it?
Well, I think I'm a very forgiving person.
If he thinks he's a forgiving guy, I forgive him.
Love between sozzled pirates, you mean?
We both said, I never want to see you again.
You never want to punch him?
Oh, quite often.
Mick and I are pretty much very, very close.
How do you two stick together?
We're in the same band.
Right. Good evening, I'm Ellen Fanning. There are people we've known all our lives, but who we've never met. For me, that sums up the Rolling Stones. So it was too good a chance to miss when I was able to intercept them in Japan, just before they toured Australia earlier this year. I sat down with Mick and Keith, Ron and Charlie one-on-one, just before they went on stage in the city of Nagoya. Tonight, an encore of the interviews, a second chance to see up close the group that just can't stop rocking.
This one's called Oh No, Not You Again.
You're there.
You're a beauty, such a cutie. How could I resist?
Well, welcome to Nagoya.
Thank you, Mick Jagger. When you started this tour,
Yeah.
the Boston Globe wrote, "It's as simple as this. You will not be able to do in your 60s what you did so effortlessly in your 20s, the Rolling Stones can."
That's a nice review, I remember that.
You remember the nice ones?
Yeah, of course. The nice ones from Boston.
How do you do it? How do you do it?
Well, it's not as difficult. I don't know, people, I guess the guy that wrote that review is a very overweight guy who watches too much TV, I don't know.
An ordinary 60-year-old, in other words.
No, not everyone's like that. But, I mean, it looks probably more difficult than it is, to be perfectly honest.
He looks very energetic.
The whole thing shouldn't look tiring. I think, wait a minute, this is not good. It's looking too tight, like it's too much work. I should
You don't want sympathy.
No, I don't want sympathy. And I don't want, well, I can't do.
And you never think when you're hooning up and down past Ronnie Wood, you never think, man, if I do that again, I'm gonna need a hip replacement here.
No, I think that'll be the day I'll give up. So
Really?
Not at the moment. No, I'm fine.
But before I leave this issue of, man, I'm bloody exhausted and I've only just come from Sydney
I've
to
heard
here.
you're pregnant. Is that true?
Oh, God, is that what it is? We figured it out. I thought it was Christmas and it wasn't going away. But if you can give a modicum of comfort to every 40 to 60 to 70-year-old man out there, do you ever wake up in the morning and feel stiff in all wrong places?
No. Sorry, mate. I don't.
What's at stake tonight? You know, you've been around so long.
So long.
Does it feel like forever?
Sydney Showgrounds. You know, we first came to Australia in 1965, I think.
I wasn't even born in 1965.
Don't tell me that. Yeah, anyway, you weren't born. You're just a twinkle. And maybe not even a twinkle, yeah. So it's a long time we've been going around the world, and it's nice. But it's nice to go back. And
do you have to prove yourself every night?
Oh yeah, every night you have to do your best to prove to yourself you've done your best for yourself. You know, you can't like let you set yourself up a very high stump in serious now. You set yourself a certain standard, you know, that you want to reach every night. And obviously some nights are really, you think, oh, that was for some reason better than normal, but you never want to dip underneath a certain level.
And is that important to the enterprise?
Well, it's important to me.
And other than the money, why keep doing it? Why not retire to a life of leisure?
I think creative people don't really do that, you know, that some people have a very hard life maybe, and, you know, they don't want to work forever, you know. Why would you, if you're like working on the railway or coal mine or working some repetitive job that you don't really enjoy, you see that as a nice end to life.
You're counting it down,
You know, and so on. But creative people don't really think like that.
Is the money important? Because I read somewhere that you said you're not poor,
You've
but
done your internet trawling.
I have, and you were talking, I thought very interestingly, about the kids and the ex-wives and the houses and all the.
You don't have to do any of
stuff.
those things. You could say goodbye to all of them, I suppose. But no, I mean, you don't tour for money. I mean, it's like you come here and do an interview, or you might say, "Well, it's a very nice day you got out of the kitchen," but you wouldn't do it for nothing. But
Out of the kitchen.
you know what I mean.
I didn't say that.
That's what you did. You said you're a housewife.
I am a housewife.
Well, yes, kitchens must come into it somewhere.
They do. In reality, do you consider yourself a rebel, or is that an image that you sort of sold to the public from long ago?
Well, it's a kind of 60s question.
Is it?
It's a bit.
A 60s question. Oh, forgive me.
I'm sorry. I know you weren't alive
I'm tempted
then.
to say you'd know.
Well, I would know, but you've read enough about it. The way countries are run, the way people are treated, the way wars are run, and all these things. I didn't like all that when I was, a teenager, and I don't really like it now. I have very definite political views, but that's so what? When we started out, the kind of music we played was not acceptable to most people, in many, many ways. But that's completely changed now, and the world's a completely different place and so on.
I'm interested in image. Keith talks about being... he presents as a sort of sozzled pirate. Is he really a sozzled pirate?
I don't know if his seafaring abilities are really up to scratch, to be honest. And the sozzled part where you said it, I didn't.
But is he really sozzled?
I'm not going to tell you. You talk to him. You ask Keith what he thinks about himself. Don't ask me. Have you talked to him already?
I'm about
or you
to.
have to make your own mind up.
You seem very forgiving of him when he says these things about you publicly, about your music and your solo album, about your knighthood, these sorts of things.
The thing about Keith, well, I think I'm a very forgiving person, and he's, shoots off his mouth when he's drunk, basically. So you have to sort of forgive a lot of people that just shoot off their mouths.
You never want to punch him?
Oh, quite often. Mm. But, I don't...
And you never do?
I never give in to physical violence with Keith because it doesn't really get you anywhere.
How do you two stick together? You are
We're in the same band.
Right. Well, you needn't be. Someone
We needn't be, no. But we are, and we've been in the same band for a very long time.
Do you think you love him?
Love.
Yeah.
Love between men. Love between sozzled pirates, you mean?
Yeah.
This is a way to go. I think all people in this band we all respect each other a lot. We've lived through a lot together, and we're all great friends. And we've seen a lot of ups and downs. We've seen a lot of things happen to each other, and shared each other's experiences and so on. Mm. And that's a very kind of hard thing to break as well. So it's a lot of bonds between us since the last 40 years.
When do you know it's over?
I have no idea. People start asking me that in 1966.
Yeah.
Which is, as you pointed out, before you were born. And I've been answering that question ever since, and I really don't have an answer, so...
I'm not waiting on a lady. I'm just waiting on a friend.
Should stop meeting this way.
Just waiting on a friend.
Keith Richards, thank you for doing this.
Hey, pleasure. Right, good to see a few friendly faces.
You've been called the conscience of this band. And when you get up there tonight, how do you know it's working?
Well, if somebody falls over in the middle of a song.
This is not good.
This is not good. All of the hard work of a tour is actually done before you go on the road. Then you're into it, and it's like a show. I enjoy the show as much as the audience, I hope. But the hard work is the rehearsals. You know, you're doing like maybe 12 hours a day, 14 a day.
Really?
Yeah, everybody
After
pushes.
all these years.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what makes it good on the road. Is that you see, bands are supposed to play all the time. I mean, actually, we enjoy rehearsals because we can screw up without worrying.
Yeah. Let's talk about Jagger. You say you never want to divorce him. Does it feel like a marriage to you?
No, it's actually more like brothers. But my point on that was that even if we both said, I never want to see you again, it couldn't happen, because we'd have to talk about our babies, 500 songs or how many it is, I can't remember. But I was trying to say it would be easier to get rid of an old lady than for me to get rid of Mick or him to get rid of me, But then that is basically a joke. The thing is that Mick and I are pretty much very, very close. People only hear about the times when we ever spat, I mean? I've known him since he's 4, which is a pretty long time. And like brothers, you have spats, you have fights, but of course nobody hears about when you're not having a fight, so it don't matter. Anyway, there's the chemistry between us is kind of like that.
Well, he says that part of the key to it is that he's a forgiving guy, and that you only say nasty things about him when you get drunk and shoot your mouth.
Oh, great, that's his version, is it? Yeah, okay, flip the coin, I ain't going to say no more.
Does it make you mad, or you just shrug your shoulders?
No, it's, Mick's Mick, I mean, and he's always going to be like that about me. But if he thinks he's a forgiving guy, I forgive him.
I was saying to him, you present as a slightly sozzled pirate. And
slightly is a bit of an insult.
Are you even a bit sozzled? Because how can you play the guitar like that?
It depends.
I mean, what's in there?
That's a nuclear waste.
A nuclear waste?
Yes, that's vodka and orange soda. Yeah.
How strong's the vodka? Can I have a sniff?
Yeah, have a sip.
Well, I
do
can't
the
really.
baby any good.
Probably don't want the lithium. He's a funny one. On the one hand, he's an establishment figure, Sir Mick Jagger.
All of that.
Cricket, polo. And on the other hand, he presents as the rebel frontman.
Yeah, he can fool you, can't he? Yeah, he's a conservative in every way except when he works. He's a very, very conservative guy. And when he's shagging is another thing, but I wouldn't know. Working together is I mean, Mick and I just slip into a slot that we've been in for so long. It's okay, let's go. I never have to worry about Mick. I worry about some of the other guys in the band. Are you okay? I never worry about Mick because I know he's fine. And that's the way that I see you on stage, pal.
There's a little friction like a pearl in there.
Yeah, but he's got he likes routines. He has to know what he's doing every 10 minutes, 15. Do this, do that. And me, I'm just happy to wake up and to see what the day will bring. So there is that difference, and I guess. But we work well together. Me love the man. Me love the man.
Do you get nervous? Is nerves still part of it?
I doubt it. I've only got one, and some people get on it, I mean, it depends what you mean by nerves. I mean, some people nerves, they're all butterflies and all that sort of stuff. No, that don't come into it, but there is at the same time a sense of excitement. There's more like let the tiger out the cage, really. It's a build-up of energy. Different people feel it in different ways, but you won't find a lot of nerves around here.
And is that something that goes on up here, or do you pace up and down?
Yeah, you kind of pace the cage for 5 minutes before you go on, kind of thing. But it's, in a way, it's a pleasure. This is the whole point of our day: is to get on the stage and do what we do. everything else like this, bless your heart and everything, is...
Second to that.
Yes, even
shattered.
even to that, yeah. And and that's the whole point. And afterwards, you either, you know, crash out or you sort of bounce around the room for a bit. I know I do.
Which do you do more of, bouncing
More
or crashing?
bouncing than, yeah, crash out occasionally. Yeah.
I was born in a cross by hurricane, and I howled at my mom in the driving rain. But it's alright now, that is the gas. But it's alright, I just damn fast, gas.
What does that feel like, to have a whole stadium full of people screaming for you?
Well, it's a strange thing, you know, because I realise, I still wake up and say, what a weird job I've got, thank God, you know. Well, and the other feeling is when you're up on stage saying, thank God they like it because I'm a lousy plumber. You know? I can't do nothing else. This is what I can do, you know. And I know what I'm doing, and I know I'm doing it with the right guys, you know.
And is it the shot, that adrenaline? Do you need that?
I think every show does. I think it's an exchange of energy between the audience and the band that one feeds the other, in other words, you know. And I'd hate to play to an empty stage.
Yeah. But do you need that shot yourself? Is it addictive?
It's hard to tell because once you hit the first song, it's all happening, and you really don't think anymore. There's no room to think in rock and roll, especially on stage. That would bring the whole thing to a screeching halt. You've really got to fly. You know, that's what you try and do. You know, and I got some flyers in this band. Charlie Watts is in. The ideal feeling, really, to do a show is basically to think and feel like you're about 2 or 3 feet off the ground, you know, and sort of floating, you know. And so you don't have to think, oh, where am I going to do? I'm just doing. And, it's that immediacy that's it's very interesting, you know. I can't live without it, you know.
And what does Mick need to do?
Mick needs to do whatever it is he feels he needs to do, you know. Some of it's in secret. But no, we all treat it different ways. Ronnie and I play a game of snooker before we go on. That's,
Part of the ritual?
Yeah, a ritual, basically, yeah. He always wins. I just get my ass whipped every day. You know.
And then you're ready?
Yeah, then I'm ready, because he feels good, and if Ronnie feels good, he plays better.
Now it's time for the romantic interlude. You ready for a little bit of romance? She would never say where she came from. And yesterday don't matter if it's gone. While the sun is bright, or in the darkest night, no one knows. She comes and goes.
Satisfaction. I can get no satisfaction.
I can get no
Satisfaction.
You
look at your hands. Is that arthritis?
A little bit of it, yeah, but it don't hurt. And,
No?
no, it still works. So, you know, there it is, you know what I mean? I hit that thing hard, you know.
Yeah. Because they are the hands of somebody who's worked very hard.
Yeah, I'm a hard-working man, you know.
Seriously?
Yeah, even when I'm asleep.
Is it hard work, this
Yeah,
this
it is,
constant
but there's
touring?
nothing wrong with hard work's great. I mean, I'd rather do this and be, you know, working in the gulag or digging a quarry or something, you know. It's not hard labour, it is hard work. At the same time, you're kind of used to it. I mean, I never wanted an easy job anyway. It's something that keeps me going, and these guys certainly do.
The singer Muddy Waters, you know, 83 years old, the last Saturday night of his life, he played a gig in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Is that the way to go out?
It's preferable than, you know, dying in a bed somewhere or hospital. Yeah, I think, yeah, you go till you drop, you know. I mean, whether it happens to be, you know, on a gig or afterwards, it's not going to matter to you, is it? You know what I mean? It's, but yeah, in a way, I know what you mean. Yeah, you do what you do because there's no, I mean, retirement age in this game. You know, you go as long as you can. And,
I remember seeing Frank Sinatra came to Australia, and the words of the song were at the back of the "Start spreading the bouncing ball."
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm leaving
I think I'd
today.
give up by then,
Yeah?
personally. Yeah, well, if I, you know, luckily I don't sing a lot. So.
But if it got to that, that would be the end.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, you understand that Frank, that's what he did all his life, and maybe he needed it more for himself, I guess. I mean, he didn't have to do it for this, you know, so one felt that he felt compelled.
And that's
so to
okay
speak.
too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I understand that compulsion. Yeah.
Actions I've tried, gonna try, gonna try, gonna try, ain't got no, ain't got no.
So you never think, oh, come on, I don't want to play Satisfaction, I don't want to play Brown Sugar, I don't want to play that Honky Tonk
I'm
Woman.
still practicing those songs. The weird thing, you realise that you write a song, especially in the earlier ones, I mean, you wrote it on Tuesday. By Friday, you've recorded it. And then a week later, it's out, and you realise that you hardly know this thing. And you spend the rest of your life learning it. I'm still learning Satisfaction. You never play it the same twice, you know. I mean, it'll sound like it to anybody, you know, but to ourselves, but there's different ways of, you know, playing. You're always finding a new nuance in a song. And so until I get bored with them, and I've never suffered from that illness, I can play them just as well as a new one. I like to write new songs. I like to play the old ones. They're fun to play. That's why we do it, and that's why people come to listen, I guess. You know what I mean? Yeah, good songs played by really nice guys. Yeah.
Proving that you can get old disgracefully.
Yeah, I mean, and that's to do with rock and roll's comparatively new music. I mean, and nobody's taken it all the way. I guess we're it, you know. So you always kind of feel you're on the cutting edge a bit of, you know, people saying, why are you still doing it at your age? Why not?
This band was at its creative best, and yet you had hardcore addictions. That seems amazing that you were able to do what you did while dealing with all of that.
Well, let me say, don't try that at home. But everybody's different, you know. I mean, yeah, I went through all of that, and it's not pleasant. It's, you know, I got bored being a junkie, actually. Yeah. Because I ended up, well, you know, everybody I knew was one. But, you know, kicking this stuff's, you know, it's not pleasant. But at the same time, rather that than have a leg chopped off. Or something, you know what I mean? Or get blown up. You know, I mean, after all, it's a self-inflicted wound. So, you know, nobody to blame but me, you know. And I'm pretty good at blaming myself, so.
I, like millions of other people, watched the Ozzy Osbourne show. Remember that?
No, I never did.
You never saw it? Well, it was interesting. It was Ozzy at home, and it was madness. If we had the Keith Richards reality TV show at home, what would that
It
look
wouldn't
like?
be anything like Ozzy's, I'm telling you that. No. He lead a quiet family life. Clean, good, living boy.
Seriously?
Seriously. You believe that, you believe anything.
When will those clouds all disappear? Where will it lead us from here? With no loving in our soul and no money in our coats. You can say we're satisfied, but Angie, they can say we never tried. You're beautiful, but ain't it time we said goodbye?
Ronnie Wood, thank you for doing this.
Pleasure.
Now, you've seen and been in a lot of the great bands. Why does this one endure?
Well, we're all such different personalities, you know, such totally different people. And I think that has something to do with it, because when we come together, something magic happens, and the music always gets better for some unknown reason. And I think it's because we try very hard to make it get better. And luckily, everything comes flooding back to us, like all the chords and all the hundreds and hundreds of different songs we have to remember.
And do you yearn for that magic when you're not part of it? When you're not touring, when you're not with them?
Not really, because you can get on with your own life and do whatever. You know, when I do my paintings, that's just something I can do on my own. And then when we all get together, the old magic kicks in.
What keeps you on stage and touring and that grind? I mean, apart from the money.
The electric rapport that we have with the audience, it's amazing, the adrenaline exchange. We give to them and they give to us. I think that's what we live on, you know.
Stop me up. Stop me up. I never stop. I'm running out. Lift the dial and I will blow my top. Blow my top. Stop me up. I'll never stop. Never stop.
Lots of people talk about, you know, how can these guys be doing it in their late 50s and 60s? I have this theory that maybe that's it. Maybe the elixir of youth is what you get off the audience.
Yeah, and it keeps you young.
Is there a chemistry between you and Keith?
Yeah, he'll tell you we have this ancient form of weaving that we call it with the guitars, and our personalities to a certain extent as well. We spar off each other.
Does it feel like that? Do you think, oh yeah, you did that, I don't know, listen to this, pal?
Yeah, we spar every night in a different way. Musically, I still get blown away with the fact that we do it still and do it so well.
And on a great night, how good of a front man is Mick Jagger when you're looking at him?
He never ceases to amaze us, really. Yeah, he runs 6 to 10 miles every night as well. And this person that goes whizzing by me, while we're playing, it always blows my mind.
Been a month of Sundays since we last spoke.
at him and think, mate, you're going to put your back out if you keep that up.
No, he does a lot of preparation as well, which is something that never fails to surprise me as well.
Yeah, he's a worker.
Worker, very fit, yeah.
Sex so romantic. Love is in the air. What is perfect, but I'm allergic to your fierce and stares.
He's got no right to be at his age, has he? He should have a pot gut. He should... Shouldn't he?
So should we all, but no, we
And you don't. Look at you. You're as thin as a whippet. How do you do that? Look at you.
And twice as fast.
Tell me, every office has its frictions. Every job has its frictions. And how strained can things be between Mick and Keith? How bad can that get?
Well, I think they got over that many years ago now. It could get bad, and it did, but they've come out the other end of the tunnel now, and they're getting on like they did in the sandpit.
When they were 4? How critical are you in that sandwich? Because I read that in the 80s you actually sort of got them back together at a point where it was looking pretty unlikely to continue.
Yeah. Well, I'm a bit of a diplomat when it comes to it, you know, because I want to save this institution called the Rolling Stones, you know. It's not worth chucking it all in for, you know, personal argument.
I've been hanging out so long, I've been sleeping all alone. Lord, I miss you. I've been hanging on a bone, I've been sleeping all alone. I won't kiss you.
That's interesting what you're saying, that you want to save the institution that is the Rolling Stones. Is that part of the reason that you had a good hard look at yourself with drugs and alcohol and said, that's got to stop?
Yeah, it's about time I grew up a bit and, you know, just do the best I can and just get a bit more responsible. Because I look back at some of the old films of the 70s and 80s and sort of think, fucking hell, how was I really like that?
And do you listen to your playing and think, oh, what do you think? Hey, I'm doing pretty well for a guy who's out of it.
I could do better, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what I do now, is I try my best.
You've all had your demons, and you've all fought and overcome your demons, in a way, to save the band.
Yeah, I think subconsciously as well as consciously, we all have a huge percentage of let's save this institution, yeah.
Let's do whatever's necessary, or stop doing whatever's necessary.
Exactly, yeah.
And maybe that's why the band endures, because you've put that much work into making sure it does.
And it's what you don't do as well on stage as well as off that counts.
Are you almost 60?
Yeah, I should say a couple of years' time I will be.
So is 60 the new 30, or does it really feel like 60 some mornings?
I always feel like I'm 29, you know.
Can you still do it when you're 80, though? Really?
I don't know. Ask me in 20 years.
She made some tea, kissed me on the cheek, and I turned on her TV. It was all the usual crap, all the usual sleaze. 14,000 quid, some bimbo spilled the beans, yeah. And the rain fell down.
I read somewhere that you said playing the drums scares the hell out of me. That can't be right.
No, the noise of them scares the hell out of me, is what I said. Not playing them, the noise of them.
And why would that be? Because you've been bashing away on them for years. Well, not
I don't
bashing.
know, they always have, but I get very nervous when I play anyway, so it's... But they're just a noisy instrument, acoustically. They're nowhere near as noisy as a guitar with an amplifier turned up, but acoustically they're incredibly noisy. So anyone that says to me their son or daughter wants to play the drums, I have a great deal of sympathy for them. Because it's like nightmare, it's like having the neighbours from hell. But they're good fun. Kids love banging things, drums.
And will you be nervous going on tonight? You can't.
Yeah, always am. I get, I play what's loosely termed as jazz clubs in England, and I get nervous with them, and there's about 100 people in them, if you're lucky.
But you've got a lot of cover here. You've got Mick Jagger prancing around in front of you. You've got dueling guitars.
Yeah, we have the best sort of front man in the world, really. And the other two are quite close, so... Yeah, it's not that. It's just you want to do it again, And when you're touring, you have to do it again and again and again and again, 100 and whatever number times you're doing it. But it's what you do, so.
And does that make it harder or easier that you've done it all 1,000 times?
I don't know. In one way, it's harder because you keep thinking, oh, God, I've got to do that, do this. And in other ways, it's easier because you've done it.
Someone was analysing what you all do and said...
That must have taken a week at least.
But they were saying that a big part of it is Mick with that pent-up energy and maintaining that energy level. And I wonder how much you're responsible for that, for driving that with a beat that gets someone to move.
Well, you have to be as energetic as he is. I mean, one of the things the drummer cannot do is stop.
Is it harder today than it was when you were 25?
I think you become another thing when you get older. You get other things replace that raw energy. I mean, I used to take things to make me livelier when I was young, and I couldn't do that now, I'd be dead.
Your love is strong, and you're so sweet. You make me hard, you make me weak. Your love is strong, and you're so sweet. And someday, babe, we got to meet.
You're a very stylish chap. I think in the old days they'd call you a cool cat in the jazz world.
Well, that really is. That's out the art. Go on.
How did you end up hooking up with one of the wildest rock bands on earth?
Because they weren't then. They were just another bunch of kids that I played with. I played with loads of them.
Did you think they'd last?
No, because nobody, I was 20 and nobody did. You were in bands 3 months, 9 months at the most. I was in 3 bands when I joined the Rolling Stones. Somebody had the saxophone player had the band, and I was in one of them, and somebody else. I was in Ronnie Wood's brother's band at the same time. But you got 1 gig a month spread amongst 3. That was 3 a month. And that was the thing with the amazing thing with the Rolling Stones is that ever since we started, there's been 10, 20, 30 people, and it's just gone on and on. And now we even play to more people now than we did when we were 20 or 30 or whatever years of age numbers, which is amazing, really.
And what do you tell yourself about why that would be?
I don't tell myself anything. I can't possibly think of things like that. Why that many people come to see us in Japan who must understand about 3 words we sing? I got no idea.
But it's alright now. Baby, she gas. But it's alright. Don't be jackknife. You just can't gas.
Tell me about the relationship between Keith and Mick. How has that looked from...
They're like brothers.
They're awful rough on each other in public.
Not really. Keith's rough on Mick. Yeah. But no more than brothers usually are.
And do they love each other like brothers?
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah, you cannot get between them if they have one of their moments.
You had a cancer scare. You
I
often...
didn't have a cancer scare, I had cancer.
Fair enough.
And at the moment, it's clear, you know, I have to keep going for checkups.
You well?
Well, I think so.
You look well.
Thank you.
Why were you keen to come back after that? Why not retire and...
Because I think if I retire, just get old and be ill, and I'll be sitting there worried about cancer. So when I was allowed to come to work, I did.
How the heck do you tour like this?
Actually, I don't know, you just do. And after a while, you get numbed into it. And it's very easy for us, you know, we've got 89 people. I mean, how many people are telling us to stop now? It needs one person to go, you've said enough, but then we've got 10 of them. And we have 10 people to do everything.
And is it better touring these days than it was in the old days?
Yes.
You don't miss the back of the van?
Touring is very hard when you're young, but you're young and can do it and don't think about it. And you're usually drunk or whatever, so it doesn't bother you, you know. But this is, I mean, we have our own plane, so if somebody's late, thank goodness they're not, we can actually wait for them.
This is the Rolls Royce of touring.
Yes, it's very expensive, like a Rolls Royce.
I understand you were a bit of a wily spin bowler in your youth.
How did you hear that?
I read that in a clipping. So do you look at our Warnie and think,
Oh, I love him.
Good bowling, clean bowling.
Because spin bowling was nothing when he did it. You know, everyone laughed at it, and he just made it into such a thing. Plus, he is so good, and still is. I mean, he's just the best thing since sliced bread, brown bread.
how on earth do you follow cricket from Japan?
Easy. Mick does it. Actually, he bought me one of those things, which is called, what do they call a PC thing? That screen, and I tap. I can't set it up, but I tap in.
I think it's a laptop.
Indian, yeah. And I tap in the thing, and I get it up. We go on the. He fixes up all these Indians who, you know, would get links off them or whatever they call it, feeds. So we're all over America listening to Shane Warne spin the ball. Nobody knows what the hell we're talking about.
Got him, that's well ball, Shane Warne. Don't make a grown man cry. Don't make a grown man cry. Don't make a grown man cry. My eyes dilate, my lips go green, my hands are greasy, she's a main baby.
So what have you learnt? about enduring?
Breathe, which is one of the main things you've got to learn to do. And I don't know, I suppose keeping yourself in shape, really. To do what I do. To do what Mick does, he needs to do that as well.
I've got this trainer, right? He doesn't really work me very hard, and I always worry that I'm not working hard enough, because I never feel stiff from the training, you know. And some friends of mine, they go in the gym and they go, oh. I said, you're overdoing it, you know. So don't overdo it, that's what I say.
Now, the two reprobates will be... you'll have to ask Keith and Ronnie what they do, but they have another version of physical fitness.
Charlie said, I do my stretches and Mick does all his exercise. And then he said, but Ronnie and Keith, they have another form of exercise regime, another regime. What's he talking about? He said to ask you.
Probably sex. And now I do my light Tai Chi exercises and
I don't think that's what he meant.
a few stretches. Depends what you're pulling on, I suppose.
And if Keith tells me that 20-year-olds still chuck undies at him, is that true?
Yeah, but I think we all get our fair share of that.
Could be worse.
Could be worse.
I can vouch for the sex, I'm 12.
I was going to say, is anybody in this room your wife?
Yeah, me.
Oh, good for you. Well, have a smile at that camera.
I was born in a wildfire hurricane, and I howled at my mom in the driving rain. But it's hard.